Perfect. There it is. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for our rescheduled committee meeting. We're supposed to have met about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but I think all but maybe two of us on the screen were actually able to join for that call. So we're able to reschedule. So thanks so much for accommodating. This is our last committee meeting before the retreat. Is that right, Latifa? Did I get that correct? So several things we want to make sure we get through. Any final questions, and then we get to see all of each other in person here in the next month or so. With that, we'll go ahead and just jump right in. And first couple of minutes, Latifa, you want to give some CSP updates, whatever you like to share.
We have the first event in Memphis next week, which is what we're calling right now Purpose After Hours. Of course, we had the launch, which had the happy hour for impact. And so we're keeping up that after hours fun vibe. That, of course, I think we talked about this has an emphasis on um, recruitment for West Tennessee partners because we do have a significant gap there in East Tennessee. The next thing that will happen is the December Purpose Exchange. And the chairs would like to focus on, instead of doing like stereotypical education session, where you have a panel or presenter, it will be more of like an information session on the Corporate Social Purpose Network itself. Right now, we have 30 members. And of course, there was like a slowdown because there was 26, I think, in August. So there has been a significant slowdown. And the goal is to just make it fun. So it's not going to be like information in just like a standard way, whatever that means, but it's more going to be like the core members sharing their experience and why they love, service period, why they love their work and why they think this will benefit. And then a couple of breakout groups that just learn from folks on what they're doing already in the community and also what they think the benefit of this network will be for them and the state of Tennessee. And lastly, I guess I will share that I think some of us know on the call there, we started maybe like a year-ish ago, more than that, the special interview series on corporate social responsibility professionals in the state of Tennessee. And initially, we we're doing one-on-one interviews. So we have now broadened that out because we have about like 82 interviews total, but a lot of that we had to put into a different data bank because there were some students that completed the survey and some nonprofits that completed the survey. And so we have about 38 solid interviews or I think it's like 38 to 40, I'm not remembering, or surveys from corporate social responsibility professionals. And so all that to say, we have now expanded to triangulate. And so, doing cold calls and also doing like more internet research based off of public facing information. That seems like, hindsight, duh, but that is what we're doing in a formal way now. And when I say what we are doing, that is the plan because we do need to actually have the capacity to actually now take these steps. So Avery, Allen, Mavis Wolf, and I'm almost done, um, who started with us in the summertime, they had to reduce their capacity, of course, because school and other internships, they are going to complete a total of about five. So we'll have the goal is to have about five from each of them. And so hopefully that will lead to at least five, solid to 10 more companies, individuals, CSR professionals to add to the database. There's a lot of awesome happening. We're also working with a graduate student who's a data engineer at Belmont who's going to help us build this database, but he needs the data to help support that. So I will stop there. A lot of awesome happening. I think my call out to the commission always, I talk to you, team about this, is, thinking through how the commission wants to prioritize this in the future, thinking about funding. Do we want to require dues? Do we want to input it into the budget? I don't think that that's something that's seen as a desire at this time, but just what does that look like? Do we want to bring on partners to be able to actually continue this in a sustainable way? Is the question that I have right now. I am done. That took too long. Sorry about that,
No,
Nathan.
you're good. You're good. It looks like there's somebody in the waiting room. I don't know who it is, but I just saw that. And then any questions for Latifa regarding CSP? Jim, you unmuted. Anything you wanted to add?
Well, it's that person has been joining some of the meetings, and I'm not sure who it is, but it's not a commission member, so they should limit any comments to the end at the public comment.
Got it. Okay.
But go ahead and let them in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a public meeting, so we need to admit them, but the rules say that the public comment comes at the end.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions for Latifa regarding corporate social purpose from commissioners? Okay, very good. And I know one.
Sorry, I was
Oh,
muted.
yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah. You know, what are your aspirations for it? You talked about sustainability long term, assuming that like environmental conditions are supportive of growth and sustainability. Like, what would that look like for you?
Yeah, I think for me, having the corporate social purpose network be, and I think for Jim as well, like Jim's working on this for a long time and it's a passion for the commission, to have this be an initiative that has the support and awareness in the community. And we have, CSR professionals across the state of Tennessee. Many right now are in Middle Tennessee. So, a good reflection of the state that are coming together like on a project to support state of Tennessee and, benefit, of course, the Volunteer Tennessee mission, is what I think. But I do want to also say, like, I think it's for the commission to come together and also determine what does that look like for the commission? Like, how are we going to prioritize? Is it, an initiative that we're taking, putting in the same capacity as AmeriCorps? How are we doing that? Are we bringing in external partners to help support in the sustainability? Because of course, right now we don't have the person power to manage it to that level. So I think the question is, what does the commission see for? Is the question I give back to the commission? What does the commission see as how we make sure it's sustainable and longevity?
Do participants pay anything?
Currently not. Right now, and Jim might be able to add more to this. So it's been within the budget, I think, for several years now, under the assumption that it would be dues paid. The conversation has come up about dues based off of the 15 members within the Corps. There is strong alignment with dues as long as it makes sense. The pause on that conversation came because we weren't sure how we would manage that. At first, we were talking to Friends of Volunteer Tennessee, and then we learned that their system may not be the best fit to actually be able to navigate that number of dues if it were ever to like increase it a certain amount. And so then Jim and Candace right now are having conversations with I'm going to say OBF, just to assess like what that looks like for us being able to take in card payments, just not only checks, because our folks did say having to do a check would be difficult for their teams on the corporate end. So yes, it's in conversation. I think that the next steps would be, determining, is it feasible? Jim and Candace are looking to that, and then taking it to the annual meeting, the first annual meeting that will be at the conference, and having the members vote on whether or not they want these.
Thank you.
Yes.
And James, I think you threw your hand up.
You had mentioned after hours in Memphis, but want to raise membership in the East. Any like events in the East being organized?
Yeah, so of course, so definitely that's going to be the next stop. So we did Middle Tennessee and then West. I would love it if we could have the capacity to do multiple events across the state at the same time. That is an idea that we have for the future. But yes, the conversation right now is in June, and Unum potentially, I want to say potentially, but we have talked about it and they're very eager to do this, but we need to finalize that, make it official with that partnership. But they're looking to potentially host, and if not, then someone else. But I do believe that it could definitely be our Unum partners who are a part of the core, which is the leadership team. And that would look at June, I think, again in Chattanooga.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I'll add, and I think this brings up in in regards to CSP, but as well as really just about anything else that we do as Volunteer Tennessee. And we'll get into the state service plan framework conversation here in a moment. But if you had a chance to glance through it, one piece of context to keep in mind as we think through the new 3-year plan is boots on the ground capacity is going to continue to be a problem for any of our programs, right? Just there's only so many staff. We are a very large state geographically. There's lots of needs to potentially have people boots on the ground. And I think you'll see that throughout that framework document that Jim and his team worked on. There's a couple of mentions of, can we do this, question mark? Can we make this work, question mark, all around physical staff and financial capacity. So I think that's just a great example of that. So other questions for Latifa around CSP from commissioners? Okay. Well, with that, thank you so much, Latifa. Glad things are going well. Oh, I'll throw one question out there. I do know that we last meeting, Jim had mentioned maybe the idea of trying to have Latifa do a little 3 to 5 minutes at the retreat. Were we able to perhaps negotiate that? Is that happening? Or do we know?
So to specifically talk about the Corporate Social Purpose Network.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be plugged in kind of informally in a couple of different places. One is when the committees are kind of reporting out from their committee meetings. That
Okay.
might be a place. And then also, you know, the other, depending on how you all want to do it. When I do the director's report, I could call on Latifa to say a few words about that.
Okay, perfect. Well, I can touch base with Latifa and see if, I don't know how much time you would need, Latifa, and your comfort level with doing it. But again, I know you've been able to give some reports to this group, and I think it would be great for the larger commission to know exactly what's going on and to hear some of those asks as well. So, okay, we can brainstorm that offline. That's good.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Awesome. Okay, with that, I guess we'll go ahead and transition into state service plan and annual plan conversation. Also want to make sure we hold a little bit of time on the tail end to talk about the conference, because I know there are some updates and we've got Candace on, and we'll do those after state service plan as well. To start, just to refresh everyone's memories, so commission put together and agreed on those kind of large 4 bucket areas, those priority areas. There was some initial input from the committees and commissioners, and then Jim and the staff have taken some time since our last meeting to put together, hopefully, Latifa did send it out in advance, so hopefully you all had a chance to glance at it, but they did kind of workshop through potential, some more detailed outputs and outcomes and things related to those priority areas. So Jim, what would be the easiest thing for this conversation? Do you want to walk us through kind of your all's thought process behind some of those, or high level, or what would be your recommendation on how to navigate that?
Well, my recommendation would be for Latifa to pull up that sheet and for the committee to just start discussing some of the outputs and outcomes.
Perfect.
Because that's where we are right now. We're just at the committee level, we're collecting the committee input on those draft outputs and outcomes. And then at the retreat, we'll put all that committee comments in a single document for the retreat for the full commission to discuss. And then when the committees break out during the retreat, you'll have more time to discuss it a little more in depth.
Perfect. Okay, that works. Does that work, Latifa?
Well, and what I would say is, like, unfortunately, I made the mistake of not asking the committees to start on different ones. So everyone started on the first one and nobody has gotten to the last one. So
well,
maybe
we can do that. We can jump to the
this
bottom.
committee could start with the last one.
Yes, we could do that.
And then if you have time, jump back up to the ones at the beginning.
Yeah, we can make that commitment, Jim. We'll do that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share the link. Sorry, Nathan.
Perfect. No, go right ahead. Thanks, Latifa.
I was just going to say, I don't know if anyone noticed, but the page was off, the folder. We had technical issues. I'm going to share the link for a new folder. You may have to request access, but it is on the screen now. And I'm going to make that bigger. Should be good to go.
Yeah, and Latifa, if you'll scroll past number 1 down to, I think it's actually number 3. That's it.
Oops.
Okay.
Oh, actually, there's number 4. I think is.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
then number 5 is the one that's like the required statute ones, right?
Yeah, number 5 is the
Okay.
required stuff that we kind of have to do, and there's the commission will need to make some decisions about how much you want to reach for that number 5, but that's more of just like, here's what we have to do, and here's some suggestions about it.
Oops.
So on just for some context, Jim or Latifa, whoever's able, on all of these, on all of the priority areas, I noticed that we have it broken apart: proposed output staff,
Yeah.
proposed outputs public. Will you kind of walk through what that means?
Yeah,
Just so people
sure.
know.
Yeah. So for those of you who were at the August meeting, you may remember that the commission kind of started discussing this, and the commission decided on outcomes for each of these kind of 4 major goals. But they didn't, the commission didn't really have time to get into the details of the outputs. And so for those of you who aren't as familiar with kind of performance measurement lingo, you have outputs, which are just countable things like the number of people trained or the number of volunteers. It's just a countable thing that then leads to some sort of outcome, which is, some sort of change, an improvement in something, or a decrease in something that you want to decrease, etc. So at that meeting in August, the commission also asked if staff would take a crack at developing some suggested outputs. So Latifa, if you'll scroll down just a little bit further. Yeah, keep going. Okay, so that proposed outcome, that's what the commission decided on as a group at the August meeting. So that's the outcome that you all said you wanted to have in August. Although you'll notice there's no metric assigned to that. It's just like, we want to have people who are skilled and knowledgeable within the commission and staff, that kind of thing. But there's no like, an increase of knowledge by 36% or whatever. I don't think we need to get into that right now. But the outputs, and sorry, Latifa, now if you'll scroll back up a little bit. So the outputs, the proposed staff, keep going a little bit more. A little bit further up. Okay, so the proposed outputs - staff, those are the ones that the staff kind of generated after the August meeting, as we kind of went through and looked at things. The proposed outputs - public, those are outputs that came from the public listening sessions that I held with just members of the public, anybody who wanted to join. And then the one that's right below that, the proposed outputs. Sorry, Latifa, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, just sample outputs. Yeah, a little bit. There you go. That's good. The sample outputs, those are outputs that the commission has used in previous plans. So either the current plan that we're operating under right now, or the plan from 3 years ago. So just as kind of context for what the commission has used for a similar goal in the past. So that's what those output things are. And so if you all can right now focus on the outputs and which ones you think should be included under this goal that would lead us to that outcome. And it might be a good place to start with the staff recommended ones. Yeah. And then just, you all can just kind of hash it out and recommend what you think should be included. And I wouldn't get bogged down in the numbers at this point. So Latifa, sorry, if you'll scroll up one last time, I think, to the staff section. Yeah. So again, I wouldn't worry too much right now about, so that's like number of commission members engaged in volunteering. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time thinking about that, but is that something that you want to include? Like you want to track how many commission members are volunteering? Is that something you want to track as part of the new state plan? And then we can figure out the number later.
Very good. Okay, so just as a reminder for the group then, and we'll start with the proposed outputs of staff. The priority area, the broad goal is operating with excellence. So this is really about the commission itself, about our operations, infrastructure, the engagement of the commission members, the health of the commission as a whole. So all of these things are really more internal centered by nature. So just looking at what's on the screen there. Oh, I think it went away. There we go. So the one that says proposed output staff, we'll start right there. You all can see those on the screen. If you've got it pulled up on another screen, you can look at it as well. But if you just want to look at those for a moment, and I think if folks just want to unmute and offer some commentary if they've got questions about any of them. Again, to Jim's point, don't stress too much about the actual numbers or percentages, but the actual output itself. Is this a good output? Do we want to include it? So Jason, go for it.
Yeah. So for the first item, number of commission members engaged in volunteering, I'm not apparent, like it's not apparent to me how that works towards like supporting the excellence of the internal operations. It maybe speaks more towards like maybe like philosophical applied buy-in to like Volunteer Tennessee and what it kind of represents, but I'm not sure that like how that fits particularly in this section. Just a initial thought.
Yeah, and Nathan, if I'll just really briefly, the outcome, and sorry, I don't remember the exact wording. So Latifa, sorry, you might have to scroll down again to see what the outcome was, but it was something like, skilled and knowledgeable commission and organization is the outcome. So you're right that like the outputs should lead to that outcome, but also that larger goal. So if you all don't think that that's something that really fits within skilled and knowledgeable, then we can.
Because large or small number, it doesn't measure knowledge and effectiveness.
I tend to agree with that. Also, with going back to Nathan's statement about limited capacity on things to track, I mean, you know, one of the other items on here is 100% giving. I feel like I don't remember a meeting where we haven't asked people to uniformly give and ever gotten to 100%, which seems like the lowest hanging possible fruit. So like chasing people down to like get them to volunteer or track that. Yeah.
Well, it did say at the retreat, and you know, whoever's at the, I'm not. Jim, can you give us an idea of where that originated and what the goal with it was, and why it's there?
You mean the output? Is that what you mean? Sorry, you're muted, Amy.
I think we're jumping around. I'm in the top one, the one at the top, members engaged in volunteering.
Yeah.
That's easy to track. Whoever's there volunteers for whatever the service project is. I'm not, but where does that get us with the outcome? Yeah.
And I think, sorry, Latifa, if you'll scroll up just a little bit so that the goal itself is on the screen. We kind of, again, we looked at the goal, the outcome, and then some of the stuff in the past, and we just generated some ideas of things that you all might include as outputs. So I think the thought about the commission members engaged in volunteering, part of that came from, you know, how do we engage commission members to make sure that they're actively participating in commission activities and also modeling the behavior of the mission, which is to encourage volunteerism and community service. But again, staff aren't tied to any of these. They're just recommendations of things that you can include if you want.
So what I think I'm hearing from Jason, James, and Amy is that first one is good in the sense of, yeah, we want people volunteering in terms of like a cultural norm and expectation, but in terms of a measurable output, probably not included. I think that's what I'm hearing. Is that accurate? Good. We want people volunteering, but it probably isn't one of our listed outputs. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make
and so just as a technical note, Latifa, if you'll save this document in the H drive with the communications committee / strategic partnerships, and then take notes within the document. So if you'll track changes and you can delete that one, and if you're tracking changes, it'll show that this committee recommended deleting that one.
I would like to say that it would be wonderful to be able to say 100% of our commission members engage in volunteerism. That'd be kind of a cool thing to be able to say.
Yeah, sorry, just thinking about one of the things that the board development committee also discussed is, and kind of related to this, was having all of the commission members sign up for the Tennessee Serves program, but that's not something that has to be included as an output.
Yeah, I mean, just how it's noted on the sheet, it says like number of members that, service projects done at the retreat. I mean, it's cool to have a service project at the retreat, but because we help pack some diapers one time a year or something, I just don't know how meaningful that is. And again, you could look at attendance and just call it. So like for me, it's kind of a matter of like what's logistically feasible, but also maybe meaningfully contributes to demonstrating operational excellence.
I think there's also the caveat too, right, of not every commissioner, but at least the commissioners that are like citizens appointed by the governor, not by the nature of their role. By being on the commission, you're engaging in volunteering, right? Like the commission itself, you bringing your connections, knowledge, skills is a form of volunteerism. So by getting more people to show up to meetings and to donate and to know what's happening with the commission, they are being good volunteers, right?
Yeah, and Nathan, that actually was what, and Tracy Vandevate is the one who brought this up. So her suggestion was that all the commissioners sign up and count their hours at commission meetings as the volunteer time. Mm-hmm. So if we're just like what you said, I mean, you're volunteering as your role on this commission. So if we're tracking that, then that kind of meets that goal of having commissioners volunteer.
Yeah, no. If I can, I'm going to transition us down to that third bullet point under the staff one, the 100% commissioner participation in meetings and donations. Again, not focus so much on the number, but should that really be two separate goals and not one goal? Because whether or not people are giving money, whether or not they're showing up to meetings, you could have everybody doing one or the other and not doing. I feel like that might be two outputs because there's two metrics there. Whatever the number is, I just think that might be two separate ones.
I agree.
Other thoughts on outputs under this staff, proposed output staff? Anything folks want to highlight or comment on? Okay, we want to transition down, maybe see if there's any thoughts or input outputs. Now I'm getting my words mixed up. Any input on the proposed outputs from the public. So correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, these are the ones that came from some of your public comment surveys and conversations and things, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead,
I don't. Did you discuss the other ones there under staff?
I don't know if anybody had thoughts on them. So the one regarding site visits, grant reviews, VT initiatives, And then the bottom two around work plans and SOPs. Do the folks have thoughts on either of those three?
I mean, what I do like about them is like staff would be able to readily document the number of SOPs that they have, so it's accessible. It wouldn't take a lot of like herding of cats or meandering to get those numbers. Percent of staff with individualized, I'm sorry, work plans aligned to state service plan priorities. I mean, that sounds like those sound like practical things that speak towards the operation. Skilled and knowledgeable commission and organization. Those kind of deal more towards the organization from like a staffing perspective, right? So that's less of, you know, the commission being informed, because I think like from our perspective, you know, over the years I've heard people talk about like their level of comfort with the AmeriCorps piece of what we do, you know, especially if you're not coming from an AmeriCorps background. It seems like having pathways to get just kind of like broad levels of comfort with the kind of key programs that are done. Anyways, I think I'm just kind of meandering a little bit in terms of the staff proposed outcome pieces. I think making sure there's, you know, work plans related to the state service plan, that makes sense, and SOPs counting that, you know, that seems straightforward enough. I do wonder though, like, is efficiency measured in SOPs? I don't know. Just like we created 3 more SOPs. So does that mean your 3 SOPs more efficient, or I don't know. I don't have any like solid feelings kind of one way or the other on those.
I like the percentage of commissioners participating in at least one site visit, grant review, or VT initiative. I think that makes sense. That seems like the most basic expectation, right? You are doing the job description of a commissioner. Are you or are you not? So I think that one is pretty black and white to me. Percentage of staff with individualized work plans. I agree with everything that Jason said. I think that makes sense. On the last one around the SOPs, yes, I think to Jason's question, is there a way to maybe phrase it or tweak it slightly to, because you can have an SOP, does that mean you're actually performing any better? But as a follow-up to that, I'm not sure if it's number of internal tools or SOPs, or is it percentage? Because at the end of the day, you should only have a number of standard operating procedures that you do things to standardly operate, right? Like if you only have 80 programs, then you can only have 80 SOPs. There's nothing else to, you know, unless you have 12 for the same program. So that might also be a percentage. I don't know, right? Like, do we want all of our programs to have an SOP? Like that's either, I feel like that's tied to the number of programs, or is it a hard number? I don't know, but maybe that's a percentage. I do like the idea of saying that, hey, we have some standard procedures for all of our major initiatives and programs. Like that seems realistic to me. And not just that we have them, that we are actively using them and following them and trying to remain compliant with them, whatever they might be. But
I think when you frame it that way, Nathan, it makes more sense to me. When I think about like staff transition or turnover and onboarding new folks, if there are like standard processes in place, then a new person could kind of come in and have a better on-ramp to the work.
Other thoughts on any of the, so at this point, what I'm hearing, the only one that's that from this group, at least of the 5 under outputs for staff recommendation, the only one that perhaps is recommended removal is the first one. The third one, perhaps splitting meetings and donations. And then the last one, a question around, is it a percentage or a number? Did we miss anything?
You know, one thing, and it's in the most apparent one, is the percent of commissioner donations. You had mentioned splitting that out. I think participation and donations, it'd be good to split those, because I feel like it's different types of issues you run into. But I am curious if staff has any insight into like, why is it so stubborn? Stubborn, like what is the barrier to people donating $1 a year? Or in like anything, you know what I mean? Because I feel like when even when Donovan was here, I remember he would do the pitch. I remember like numerous iterations of this board have been like, please give, and they'd give it to the entire room. Like is there, is it is the platform we're using difficult to access? I mean, it seems pretty standard. I just don't know. Or is there confusion about like, are we counting governor appointed versus like entity appointed, and like if people who are representing some department of government that have been appointed by someone, they may not be giving. Are we expecting them to give? Is it unclear whether they should be giving? I'm just kind of curious because, you know, you get a room of like 10 people together and you're like, okay, we're doing this collective thing. Please donate at least $1 or something, just so we can say that our entire board is giving. What, like, do y'all have any insight into that?
Yeah.
We could sit in a room and watch people do it. We're going to
Well,
sit
you know,
here.
the
Yeah.
other thing, if I just want to mention is you can even donate your mileage. I mean, we make it about as easy. I mean,
Right.
I don't, you know.
Yeah. Well, so to a couple things. One, regardless of whether you look at it as governor appointed versus ex officio, we're nowhere near 100%. So it just, we're not, and we haven't really ever been. I mean, I think the closest we've ever gotten was like maybe 50 or 60%. I think it's a tough thing. And I don't know why, you know, because we have tried to do lots of different things to try and make it easy for people. You know, I include the link in just about every update email that I send to the full commission. It was like, it's at the bottom. You know, we talk about it, the mileage donation. We talk about that after every meeting. So I you know, I don't think it's anything particular to this body. I think it's just human nature that, you know, people are like, oh yeah, I should really donate. And then they're like, oh, I need bread and milk. And it's like, they leave the meeting and they totally forget about it. Right. I think it's more that than people, than the makeup of this group or the, you know, the willingness of this group. Because I think everybody is willing. Just for background, the reason that this has kind of been in the kind of mindset of the commission, because this is not really a fundraising body. I mean, we administer federal funds, and we have some events that need some sponsorship, that kind of thing. But it's not like a nonprofit board that has to go out and raise money to do the operations of the group. But what we found when the commission was trying to do fundraising is one of the questions that often came up on applications from foundations is like, what percentage of your board members donate to the organization? And, you know, if you're not able to say 100%, then those foundations are like, well, why should we fund you if your own members aren't willing to contribute to the organization? So that's historically how it kind of came to be a thing of us kind of badgering people to give money. So that's the history of it. I don't know why it's difficult. You know, I guess if I could answer that question, then we would not have any money problems at all. We'd just be able to get the money we needed to do anything we wanted.
Well, I mean, we shouldn't have to pass the hat like at church.
Well, we've done that as well. I mean, but I mean, you get into things of like, you know, you don't want people to feel awkward about coming to a Volunteer Tennessee Commission meeting, you know, and so if people are like, I'm going to get harassed for money if I go to this meeting, therefore I'm not going to go, that's kind of counterproductive to the goal of the organization, which is to have commission members participate in meetings. We've got to have that. So I think there's a kind of a fine balance of how much do you like literally look over someone's shoulder as they log on their phone to the donation site and click $1, you know, versus just kind of continually reminding people.
So
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Amy.
oh, sorry, I keep jumping in. You know how kind of like a telethon, you know, where you're like, we're at this percentage every meeting. You know, it looks collective versus targeted. That where we're at on the giving. I don't know if that would
I think I
resonate.
recall. I was going to say, I think I recall a period, and I think it was when Donovan was here. I think there was a chart or something
Yeah.
that he would bring out every meeting, and it would be like, so we're still not at 100%. It was like, but it did get a little bit to a point where it's like, we're not saying specific names, but we're obviously still standing up here. So you should feel deep guilt. Deep guilt.
So I'm going to push us forward a little bit because we're at 11:43. So I think we're all in agreement. Money's a problem. It's still a goal. We want people to donate. How we're doing it is yet to be determined. So maybe that is a topic of conversation for the retreat. I want to make sure we're not obviously not going to get to all of our priority areas, but any other on the staff recommended ones, any other final comments, specifically in the realm of whether or not they need to be included. Okay, so I think we'll transition down and we'll maybe give this another couple of minutes, and then I want to make sure we have some time to talk about the conference. So, are there any other ones, Jim, that you haven't had good input on you want us to jump to?
Yeah, well, Latifa, if you'll go back to down. Yeah, so no, that's too far to the public input. Let's stay on number 4.
Okay, so proposed outputs public under number 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right there's 2 listed. Best way to get excellent operations. So folks want to read that for just a minute and make sense of what's on the screen, and then we'll try to take another minute or 2 to discuss these as well.
Yeah, and as you read it, these are actually more narrative than like a short output.
So what I'm interpreting the first one to mean is some sort of standardized language toolkit. That's kind of how I'm interpreting that it needs to be like everybody's on the same elevator pitch. Am I reading that correct, Jim? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, but even shorter than an elevator pitch. And again, this came from public comment. And there's a couple examples there, like committed to greatness. In our case, if the commission doesn't change its mission, which was one of the discussions earlier on when we started this 3-year state plan process, is the commission's mission still what it needs to be? But assuming that it's the same, I mean, it could be starting every meeting by saying the mission of Volunteer Tennessee is to encourage volunteerism and community service, or our goal is to encourage volunteerism and community service, or something like that would be an example of what I think this member of the public was suggesting. So
really embedding it into the kind of the culture of the commission and using it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
So that every staff meeting starts off with it, every commission meeting starts off with it, so that everybody in the organization is easily able to remember it and say it to a member of the public. And then you can get the public to then also be able to very easily understand that tagline as well. Anyway, so, again, this is not something that you have to include as an output. It might be something that the commission considers doing just kind of outside of the state plan.
Yeah. I like the idea. This is just me thinking. I like the idea. I think it might be a part of something larger, though, around just the commission identity, right? How do we talk about the commission publicly, privately? How do we make sure we have shared language? And then this being a part of that, right? Of like, how do we internally stay true to mission? Because I'm not even sure. I mean, do people even? I mean, you've rattled off the mission a couple of times, Jim. Do our commissioners even know it to that point? Like, if we said, "What is our mission?" They'll say, "Oh, to promote service," but like, do they really know it word for word, kind of a thing? So I feel like we have a little bit of an identity problem. So I'm even wondering if I don't know how you turn that the way it's written into a direct output, other than every meeting we are going to. Right. I don't know. So could the output be that we're doing, and I think we've done this before, right? Are we doing some sort of a dedicated training or a dedicated workshop with commissioners and staff around how we want people to talk about and use? And I don't know. I feel like we've kind of done that before. I don't know if it was helpful or not. I just don't know how to make that an output that isn't just at every meeting you will ...
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is, you don't have to include this. I mean, if you think it's too amorphous to include as an output, that's totally fine. Again, this is just something, I mean, it seems like a good idea, that's something that we should figure out how to do, but it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the state plan.
What I would say is, because both of these are kind of in a more like a question or statement state, and they're not really well positioned to be outputs at the moment, maybe we just move on from them. I think the concept that was presented is worth discussing. So maybe we keep it on there as like a discussion point, because maybe the outcome can have something to do with identity as well. Skilled, knowledgeable commission operating with excellence and a clear sense of identity, or like maybe there's some modification to that. But just for the sake of like going through what comments are there that might be able to be like check, no check, maybe we just keep on trucking.
Yep. One thing I'll throw out there that is not listed, but our conversation today has made me think that maybe this is worth exploring, is there, we talk about the commission and we talk about the staff, is there a third category that doesn't exist that needs to exist? Do we have VT ambassadors? Do we have, right? What does it look like to give and train somebody who's a super volunteer that's based in the Memphis area? We give them a t-shirt and a name tag, and they're the person that can go and do some tabling and do a pitch if needed for one-off events. And we have a couple of those across. I don't know, right? So that was me literally just making that up on the spot. But is there a third bucket of, right, if we have a capacity problem, which we've heard about around every single one of these, is there's only so many commissioners that are scattered across a big state. We only have so many staff. Is there a need for a third entity that is able to do that more boots on the ground volunteerism kind of work that is just spreading the good message that is VT? I'll throw that out there. We could workshop what that might be, but maybe something worth thinking about. So
I will say, Volunteer Tennessee does have I like the idea of scaling volunteers that it seems to have more capacity to work with. But I mean, I know Volunteer Tennessee has done internships before, and those seem to be pretty productive in terms of adding some scale. One thing I do want to throw out there is that they're unpaid, I believe, and that's something that I think is somewhat limiting in terms of who will be able to participate in them.
Agreed. Okay, we've got 10 minutes left, so I want us to be able to, people may have some other updates and things, but I do want to make sure we have at least a couple of minutes to talk about conference. So is Candace, are you still on? Hello, Candace. So as you all will recall, last meeting, there was some debates and questions, and Candace got some input from us and from some others around the conference as a whole, value of the conference, that sort of a thing. Had a chance to meet with the executive committee and have some conversations around kind of the future of the conference, and some decisions were made. And I think Candace has made some progress since then, and there may be some updates. So Candace, do you want to share whatever you would like to share, and then what you need from this group?
Yeah, sure. So just to be clear, have you gone over the updates that were made with the groups, just so I can know where to start?
No, they do not know the decisions outside of what was maybe communicated via email. I have not shared the decision of the executive committee to move forward with the 2-day. So if you want to start with that, the decision to
Okay.
move forward with the 2-day, where you're at from there. Yeah.
Okay, I'll start there. Well, hello, everybody. So hopefully I can get this done in under 3 minutes. So here we go. So
Take your
the
time.
not take your time. So we met with the executive committee, just about the kind of the topic has just been about, resources and how we're spending it and how we're being the steward of the dollar. So the executive committee decided that it is a good time to just start refreshing and rethinking the way that we're doing things with the conference. So one major thing that is different is that instead of the conference being Monday and half of Tuesday, that it's just going to be on Monday, just one day. So, so all of the tracks that include corporate social purpose, higher education, any of the workshops, the service event will also be moved to Monday. The Award of Excellence will also be moved, and those are the only two big things that we had going on Tuesday, outside of the traditional workshops that we typically have. So, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. I see that our guest is typing, but before I move forward, I wanted to see, or were there any questions or thoughts or feedback about us just doing it for one day instead of a day and a half? Oh,
No,
thumbs up.
no, Candace, I think it's a good idea. I feel like historically, the
Okay.
past conferences, by the time you hit the second day, you have all sorts of people bailing, and by the time you get the closing plenary, there's, half of the people maybe left. Um, so I think that's fine, and just like really focusing on the quality and the options on a single day. It'll probably increase, like maybe it's easier to fit into people's schedules too. I don't know.
That's really what we're kind of going for, is just to keep also keeping the resources of the attendee in mind, with one day of spending on the hotel, the also the date of the conference, which is the 8th and 9th, kind of leads into spring break. So just sort of bringing it in. But the Governor's Volunteer Stars Awards will continue as usual on the Sunday in the way that that has traditionally been. So that's the update on that. Um, just for time's sake, I think probably the next most important update would be that we are meeting with our STS team, which is internal IT here at the state, about actually transitioning maybe to having to where we don't have to use Eventbrite for registration, collecting the money, and just having a link that would be internal that's directly related to our website. I think it's pretty exciting news, just to kind of cut out another third party, to where we can just sort of keep things in house, manage things a little bit better in house, and having that for all the events for registration, for corporate social purpose, for whatever we may be having. It allows us to just sort of keep it in house instead of going through Eventbrite or other modalities for registration and collecting money and things like that. Um, so we're still reviewing that, if you guys are wondering about the ticket sales, but hopefully we will have that up and running quicker rather than later if we're going to move forward with this conference with using that modality. But Eventbrite, of course, is ready to go. We're just still sort of going through the timing of if that's going to be, if the capacity is going to be good for us to have the timing to support it for this conference, which I think that it will. But those are my two major updates. I really don't want to get into the thick of things with other things, considering that we only have a couple of minutes left. Um, we have probably about 7 or 10 workshop nominations. So if you guys know anybody that you think would be great to do a workshop, just please reach out to them. Let them know that we're still accepting workshop nominations. If you know of any business or nonprofits that would be good honorees for the Governor's Volunteer Stars Awards, please reach out to them. All the wonderful companies, no matter how big or how small in your community, that you think would be great for this honor. I think that's me in a nutshell.
Perfect.
I
Thanks,
think that's me in a
Candace.
nutshell.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Questions for Candace?
Yeah, are
Yeah, questions
there
for me.
particular types of presentations that you'd like based on what you've already got?
I personally would love conversations that surround just the where we are right now is just in the state of whew, you guys know that just things that are going on personally in people's lives that are coming up throughout the year that may not be that affect the volunteers that we have. So for me, it's how to move forward, how to maybe use AI, how to use the resources that we have in the state of where we are to move forward to help not only the volunteer, but the nonprofit and the volunteer professionals that are along. So with me personally, those are some just the top 3 things off my mind that I would like to see, but I am open to different topics, just so we have a good balance of a little bit of everything.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Other questions for Candace? I will just publicly say thanks to Candace for working through the chaos that was this summer with all of the budget questions and trying to come up with a plan that gets us where we need to be and adapts and does all the things. So thanks, Candace, for your work. I know there were some stressor moments in there. But
it's still stressful. It's still a tad bit stressful. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like there's still a couple of hurdles that we're working through. But along with Latifa, I would just like to respectfully ask for about 5 minutes at the conference as well, just to lay out where we are and where we'll be then, so that everybody's aware of what's going on and we can move together collectively.
Agreed.
Thank you.
On board. On board. Thanks so much, Candace. And then Candace may not have said this, but one of the things the executive committee also discussed is once we get through this year's conference, what does it look like to pull a group together with Candace to really, really get in the weeds and have like some good high visioning of what this looks like.
It is my goal to have 2027 look completely different than the past 15 years that have been going on. Not that the past 15 years they're awesome. And we have so much that we can work with to upgrade and to meet our audience where they are. I'm really excited about the prospect of the conversation of what the future of our impact looks like in Tennessee. So thank you, Nathan.
Very good. Thanks, Candace. Okay, we were 1 minute left, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to public comment. So, Jim, do we have anybody for public comment?
We did not receive any requests for public comment.
Okay, very good. I will couple of quick updates just so you all know with our last 12 seconds. You heard everything from Candace. The GVSA nominations that Candace referenced are November 14th. Is that right, Candace? Is that when they're?
Yes, that's my soft date,
Okay.
but I really want to have every submission wrapped up before Thanksgiving. That's my ultimate date. But what's out there is on the 14th.
You got a couple of weeks to get them in. So tap your people. And then the last thing, just so you all are aware that the executive committee made a decision on, there was a couple of references to funding during this call. We are pulling together an ad hoc committee to talk about the relationship between the Friends organization and the commission and how to strengthen some of those things. And there's some opportunities on the horizon, some funding opportunities, and we just want to make sure we're in the best place to be able to navigate those. So that is in the works, and we've got that call scheduled for here in just a couple of weeks. So Jim, Latifa, Candace, any final things on the staff side? And then I'll dismiss us.
Not for me. Just, have a happy Friday, everybody.
Thanks. Jim, Latifa, you all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. It's starting to get cold, so it's time to swap out your wardrobes. So.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good weekend.
Take care. James,
Candace,
if
you got a
don't
minute?
mind, I was just about to ask you, do you have a minute? But if we could, because this call is still being recorded because it's public, would you prefer for me to call you on the phone, or did you want me to set up another virtual meeting?
Set up another virtual meeting so I can see you face to face.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So what I'll do is I will send it right now. And could we do it at 11:05?
11:05 works.
Okay. Perfect. I'll send it over right now.
All right. See you then.
All right. Perfect. Thanks.